Hey everyone. So today we're going to be looking at your anchor text. So what an anchor text is a text that we are going to come back to and refer to as our anchor for some of these skills that we are going to be looking at over the course of this entire unit. So your first unit is on a personal narrative. Now, personal narratives usually have something to do with something that has happened in someone's past that has changed them in some way. So on the first page here that you'll have, and yours is completely digital, so I've just gone and printed it out and taken the staples off. So this is just to help you with some of the student notes. So when you are trying to determine the subject of a selection, you'll look at the first sentence, you look for any repeated words or names, and then you'll read the selection a second time. And usually when you go back and read it more carefully, you'll be able to determine the subject. Titles should hint at what the selection is about. So if you'll notice, the title of our selection here is called Heartbeat. So that is probably going to come into play. Here's just a review of author's purpose. So those pair decks have been posted for you. We covered those earlier this week. So those are there for you, student paced. So you'll be able to go and take your notes and understand a little bit better on author's purpose. Reader's purpose, like there's many reasons that you may have for reading this. For most of the stuff in school, it's going to either be to gain information or learn something. So in this case, we are going to be doing both of these things. And also, I hope that you'll be entertained by it as well, because Heartbeat is a good short story. And then genre. So that's the name that we use to identify the different types of literature. It's also something we use to identify different types of film as well. So realistic fiction, fantasy, fairy tale, science fiction, poetry, nonfiction, the list goes on. And there are more genres than this listed, but these are just a couple examples. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start looking at the actual anchor text, and we are going to be marking it up. So I like to do hashtag annotations because they can help us to summarize what's going on in each of these three sections. So I think these will help you as well. So if you have access to a printer at home, then you can feel free to follow along with me by hand. Otherwise, you can annotate within Kami. So you can add text boxes and add things and highlight things and draw on it as well. So read along with me here. My nickname's Heartbeat because my friends swear that you can actually see the pulse on my bare chest. I've always been skinny. Everyone assumes I'm a weakling because I'm so thin. I prefer lean and mean or wiry, despite being a three-sport athlete. I decided to do something about it this fall when Sarah, the girl I have a crush on, said, "Oh my gosh, you are so skinny." She was visibly repulsed by my sunken chest as I stepped off the soccer bus after practice. I silently vowed to do everything within my power to become the after picture. I was 16 years old, but I looked like I was 11. All right, so we're going to focus just up here. What are some things that we can tell about our character from this? So the first thing is pretty obvious, I think, here, because he straight up tells us right here, I've always been skinny. So we've got that going for us here. So I'm going to do hashtag skinny. Okay. We don't have a name yet, so we don't know his name. Okay. Everyone assumes I'm a weakling because I'm so thin. Now here is kind of funny. He puts in parentheses, I prefer lean and mean or wiry. This tells me that our character has a sense of humor. So he's like, I prefer lean and mean. Okay. So that's kind of funny. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to draw myself a little arrow so I have some room. I can't really read that. It says humor, so we're going to put a little happy face. We can tell that he's funny, or at least he's got a good sense of humor. Okay. I decided to do something about it this fall when Sarah, the girl I have a crush on, said, "Oh my gosh, you are so skinny." She was visibly repulsed by my sunken chest. Okay. So we know that he's got a crush on this girl named Sarah. And he decided to change only after she said something. Because up here it says my nickname is Heartbeat. So other people have been calling him this. And everyone assumes I'm weak. So there's lots of people in this school, lots of people around him. But he doesn't seem to really care necessarily about what they have to say until Sarah said something. Once she said something, that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, so it says he silently vowed to do everything within my power to become the after picture. You can kind of think of this like Transformation Tuesdays that you see on Instagram or on TikTok, where people show you the before and after. He wants to become the after, but he silently vowed to do everything within his power. So this tells me that he is driven. He's determined. Because he wasn't making a big show out of it. He didn't go and blast all over social media. Today is the day. I'm going to better myself, and I'm going to show everybody that I can be strong and that all of you are wrong about me. He did this very silently, and he made a commitment. So he's very driven. Even at 16, very driven. For the rest of the fall, I did countless push-ups and curled free weights until I couldn't bend my arms. I got ridiculously strong and defined, but I wasn't gaining weight. I wanted to be thicker. I didn't care about getting stronger if nobody could tell. I did research and started lifting heavier weights at lower reps and supplemented my meals with weight gainer shakes, egg whites, boiled yams, and tubs of cottage cheese. I forced myself to swallow the daily caloric intake equivalent to 3 overweight men, and I still wasn't able to increase my mass. I have a ridiculously fast metabolism. Over Christmas break, I cut out all useless movement, like ping pong and staircases, because I'm like a sieve. Okay, so a sieve, you probably have one of these in your kitchen. A lot of times you use these to sift things like flour if you're baking stuff, but you can think of it like a colander. So when you're making pasta and you got to drain all the water out of the pasta, that's kind of what a sieve does. The 83 calories in a mini Snickers bar is moot because I waste 90 chewing it. Okay, so we've learned some more about him and his life that he's chosen here for himself. The rest of the fall, did countless push-ups, curled free weights until I couldn't bend my arms. Whoa. I got ridiculously strong and defined. I wasn't gaining weight and I wanted to be thicker. I didn't care about getting stronger if nobody could tell. So, if nothing else here, we can kind of see that our character is not doing this for himself. He's not doing this for himself here. So he seems a lot of it really, insecure. So I'm going to put this over here. He's insecure. He's looking for validation. So it says that he did some research. So that's kind of important here. He did some research, started lifting heavier weights at lower reps. He started supplementing his meals. What this tells me is that he's a problem solver. He saw that what he was doing was not working. And he said, okay, I still want my results, because he made that vow. He said, I want these results. I want to change. So he's a problem solver. Okay. Forced myself to swallow the daily caloric intake equivalent to 3 overweight men. So I forced myself to do this. This tells me again that he is driven. He's determined. He's not going to give up on this dream easily. And he even went so far as to cut out things he likes, like ping pong, like playing ping pong. And he stopped taking the stairs so that he would stop wasting stop burning his calories. I returned to school in January depressed because I was still heartbeat in everyone's eyes. I constantly weighed myself. At least once an hour, no matter where I was, I'd find a bathroom so I could take off my shirt and flex in the mirror for a couple of minutes. All right, so we're going to pause here for just a second. When you're at school, you're in school for about 8 hours. And granted, he may be up for about an hour before he goes to school. So already, if he's going at least once an hour, he's already like finding mirrors and taking his shirt off to look at himself, desperately looking for change at least 9 times before he even goes home for the day. And then you guys are probably awake for maybe 5-6 hours after you get home, maybe longer, depending on if you're a night owl. So he may be checking himself out in the mirror, like desperate to find some kind of change in his body 12, 13, 14 times a day, every day. So here, this is one of those things where you really start to feel bad for him here. It's like he's desperate for change. I was so frustrated that nothing was working, but the frustration didn't last. I was sitting in study hall 2 weeks ago when Sarah said the magic words. Have you been working out, Dave? You look bigger. I couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic. I went home and inspected myself in the mirror. I did look bigger. Okay, so he was checking himself out for 8 or 9 times just at school that day. And when he went home, suddenly he looked bigger. Did his body change from 8 a.m. to 3:45? No, no. But the way he saw himself did. So for him, we finally have some confidence because he got his magic words. Sarah spoke the magic words because he didn't care about what anybody else had said. If his best friend had told him, hey man, you've been working out, you're bulking up, it would have gone in one ear and right out the other because he didn't want to hear it from them. Even if his parents had said, hey, I can see that you're growing, he wouldn't have cared because he wanted to hear it from her. So now we know his name. His name is Dave. So Dave has some confidence here. And where this part here, where it says, I couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic, I want to bring your attention to that for a second. We know that he returned to school in January depressed. So he was depressed all throughout the school days, no matter how many days it took before Sarah finally said something. So when she said, have you been working out, Dave? You look bigger. And he wasn't able to tell. I think it's because he was depressed. When you're depressed, you see the worst in yourself and you assume that everyone sees the worst in you too, even if it's not true. And so he couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic. He couldn't tell if she was playing with him. For me, I don't think she was because she seemed so like blatantly like honest up here, you know, oh my gosh, you were so skinny. So she wouldn't change, I don't think, between then and now. So I think she really was saying like, have you been working out? You look bigger, just like normal. And because he had been fighting depression, he might have thought she might have been being sarcastic. But either way, in the end, when he went home and inspected himself in the mirror, he did look bigger. He finally had that confidence back. So mine says Monday, disregard that. So today is Wednesday. Okay. So you're going to read the selection carefully, which we did. What I want you to do is to tell me the subject of the selection. At the top of this page, write a title for this selection. So this one already has one. So if you think that heartbeat is a good title for this, keep it. If not, you can make up a new title. The author's purpose in writing the selection is to blank. My purpose in reading the selection is blank. And then the genre. So again, you can find all of that information. Ooh, I flipped this back over. Okay. So you can find the genre here, different types. You can find the author's purpose, types here, your purpose for the reader's purpose. Okay. So use the front to help you answer those questions. Now, as you're doing this, remember, you're doing this in Kami, however you want to pronounce that. Make sure to save after every time that you edit. That way you don't lose anything. And you'll submit it next Tuesday when we are completely done with this text. If you want to work ahead and you want to take on these questions on your own, you are free to do that. You guys are honor students. I think you're going to be just fine. But just know I'm not going to be grading anything for this until next Tuesday when it's all submitted.